Good evening, community. We are back in session. Um, Roll call, sir.
Sure, I'll do roll call. There's no roll call, right? There's no roll call. Why
No,
am I
there's no
talking?
roll. Oh, we already did that. Sorry. We are here. Go ahead. I'll do Pledge of Allegiance, right? Okay, let's do it. Guess that's all right.
Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunday.
Board Member Segura, broadcast statement, please.
This meeting of the Sacramento City, that's loud. This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being recorded and will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. Today's meeting will be aired Saturday, May 4th at 1 p.m. and Monday, May 6th at 12 p.m. It is also webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net and can be viewed on Metro Cable 14's YouTube channel. We welcome members of the audience to address the board. Please complete a speaker form which are located in the back of the room and give them to our communications representative along with any handouts you may have for the board prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Please limit comments during public comment to items that are not on the agenda. If you do comment on an item that is listed on the agenda, we will ask that you please defer your comments until your item comes up on the agenda. Please also either turn off your cell phones or place them on silent mode.
Thank you kindly. Item 4.3, stellar student, to be introduced by Member Rhodes.
All right. Okay. So Bella already came up, and if and if we can get along with Bella, any of her family members, principals, teachers, staff, to come up with her as well, as the community that we are at Susan B. Anthony. Going up, and we're gonna what I'd like to do today is actually we'll keep my portion short so that we give an opportunity for you to the teacher to speak about your students well and the family, and then Bella to say a couple of words as well, if that's okay. All right, so Bella Lau, a dedicated sixth grade student at Susan B. Anthony Elementary, has been part of the school community since her kindergarten years. With a fervent interest in math, history, and science, Bella demonstrates a thirst for knowledge that extends beyond the classroom. Bella's presence brightens the school grounds, and she engages in conversations and activities with students of all ages, serving as a positive influence and role model. Bella eagerly anticipates exploring new opportunities for growth, be it through sports, clubs, or further honoring her leadership skills with her unwavering commitment to personal and academic excellence. Bella embodies the spirit and perseverance and inspires those around her to reach for their aspirations. Now we're going to give your teacher opportunity to say some words, your parents an opportunity to say some words, and then you, Bella, an opportunity to say some words. So the floor is yours.
Teacher or anything just yet, but Bella, I am proud of you. Thank you for being such a good student this year. And like I said, any challenges that I put up in front of you, you always take it on and you always do your best. So then again, thank you. And I hope that you continue to keep this up going towards, your future endeavors with education. Okay.
Great. It's a great opportunity for Bella. Again, Mr. Moa says most of it. We weren't quite prepared for any lengthy speeches or whatnot. However, I am very proud of Bella. Her being one of 5 children. So I think, she's leading the way for her younger siblings as well. So you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Bella.
As for Mr. Moore and my dad, I did prepare a speech, which which I will read. Hello, everyone, and good evening. I would like to start this off by telling my parents, my teacher, Mr. Moore, my principal, Miss Moore, all of the Susan B. Anthony staff members, and of course, my friends for this award. Mom, Dad, thank you for helping me and supporting me every day. Mr. Moore, thank you also for supporting me and giving me this opportunity. Ms. Moore, thank you for always letting my ideas be heard. And my SBC team and friends, thank you all for everything, like cheering me up when I fell down. When I first heard that I was elected to receive this Stellar Student Award, I was really surprised because I didn't recognize all the things I did, and I also didn't think anything about it because I would always have someone supporting me throughout the way, and so I can't take all the credit. I am truly honored to receive this reward because I am getting recognized for simply doing something I enjoy doing. So again, thank you everyone for your hard work and endless effort in supporting me to become the student I am today. Thank you.
Wonderful. And before you guys go sit down, we're going to take a picture with you guys. So the board's going to come down. We're going to take a picture with you before you and your family leave today. So we'll be right down. I'm not going to do no fives at all.
Again, congratulations to Ms. Bella, our stellar student. Item 5.0, announcement of action taken in closed session. Madam Counsel.
Good evening, President Phillips. There's one announcement coming out of closed session that'll be read by Superintendent Allen.
Thank you. I am pleased to announce that by a vote of 7-0, the board approved the appointment of Mitchell Jones as principal of Rosemont High School.
Congratulations, Mr. Jones. Item 6.0, agenda adoption. We're going to amend tonight's agenda to remove item 10.1 and remove expulsion number 6 from consent item 12.1N. With that amendment, do I have a I'll move it. Do I have a motion? Yeah, we're removing expulsion number 6 from consent item 12.1N. Oh, as it wasn't discussed? We didn't discuss it. I'm going to read this again just to make sure I get this on the record right. So we're amending tonight's agenda to remove item 10.1 and remove number 6 from consent agenda item 12.1N. Are we all in agreement with that? Yes. Okay, so with that amendment, do I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Pritchett, thank you. Second? Second. All right, Ms. Jean. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're good on that, thank you. Item 7.0, public comment.
There are 3 public comments. The first is Jenna Westbrook Klein, followed by Candace Woods, and then followed by Jason Daniel.
Thank you. Ms. Klein? All yours.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, there we go. Good evening, board. My name is Jenna Westbrook Klein. I am an SCUSD parent with a sophomore at CK McClatchy High School, a 7th grader at the California Montessori Project Capitol Campus. I'm a proud resident of the Colonial Heights neighborhood located in Area 4. I also serve on the governing board of the California Montessori Project representing Capitol Campus, which is chartered by SCUSD. I'm here tonight to give my thanks to my trustee, Jamie Villa, Superintendent Lisa Allen, and SCUSD's Homeless Services Office staff for their support of a motel in my neighborhood that exclusively shelters unhoused families and domestic violence survivors. 100% of the rooms at this motel are occupied by families with children. There are estimated to be 72 children at this single location. I brought up my concerns to Jamie in late February that the families there needed direct support from SUSD to connect with resources in addition to enrolling any eligible children in school. Jamie connected with Ms. Allen that same day, and I know the Homeless Services Office staff have been diligently at work. I was delighted to hear that earlier today, a family education night was hosted on site at the motel, bringing resources directly to the people in need. This is a great example of meeting people where they are at, literally, to provide them meaningful and substantive help. I hope that STUSD will continue to provide support to this location, and I thank you for all that has been done to help the families thus far. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Next up, last name Woods. Good evening. The floor is yours. And sorry, I didn't write down first names, so I'm calling last names.
Hi, my name is Candace Wood. I am the grandmother to Nicholas Wood. He was a student at PS7. A few weeks ago, while he was in art class, 2 boys came over, pushed him down, and held him down by his neck. He is telling them to stop it, stop it. Nobody listened. The motto of the school is supposed to be listen, respect, and hard work. That is not happening at PS7. I see the kids running up in the hallway. There's no order. So we pulled him out. And the way they wanted to fix it was have somebody with him all the time. That's not right. But yeah, I just wanted people to know what happened to my grandson. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. Next up, last name Daniel. All yours, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So, the biggest thing, I taught math for 20 years, and the reason why I'm here, and I'm going to come back again, but I just wanted to briefly introduce myself and why I'm here. And one is curriculum and curriculum development. And the biggest interesting fact that I had was I helped my cousin who teaches in Palo Alto, and she had a 4-5 class, which made it super difficult. The materials that they gave her were not regimented to flow from one to the next. And I noticed that this might be an issue. And so one of the things that we did was we went ahead and actually made a curriculum for the class, handwritten to the class. And that was to give the students that she had direct access to that material. So all I'm saying is when I come back, I'll show you what I'm talking about. One of the hardest things was whenever I go to a district, I ask them what's their proficiency rate and what's their fail rate. And then ask them if they have a problem with grades being watered down. And so they go, what do you mean? Well, You had 1,000 students. How many of them did not pass math? 5. Okay, so less than 0.5%. And what was your proficiency rate? 20%. To me, that says that the students didn't actually have access to that material that they were being instructed on. So there was really no point to do that material because they obviously weren't getting it. And that's the gap that I hope to help clarify, if that makes sense. All right, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. You guys take care.
Closing out public comments, item 8.0, communications. Employee organizational reports, SCTA, up first. Floor is all yours, ma'am.
Good evening, members of the board, Board President Phillips, and Superintendent Allen. I'm Nikki Malevsky, President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. For the past several meetings, we've been reporting on the positive momentum here in our district since the decision of the supermajority of the school board to change direction to adopt a more constructive approach. That momentum here continues. In contrast, however, is the situation at St. Hope Public Schools. 2 independent charter schools authorized by the Sacramento City Unified School District under questionable circumstances over 20 years ago. When the district made the decision to close Sacramento High School, the oldest high school west of the Mississippi River, Sac High had over 1,800 students. Today, under the direction of St. Hope Public Schools, the enrollment of Sac High Charter has fallen to under 350 students. Tonight, you will hear from St. Hope parents, students, and educators who are coming to you as the elected officials who are charged with the oversight of St. Hope Public Schools and can hold the administrators there accountable to the terms and the conditions of their charter and to state law. Earlier today, parents and educators sent letters to Amanda Goldman, the district's Director of Innovative Schools and Charter Oversight, and they included you in that correspondence. We hope that the district takes these concerns seriously and considers the possibility of an independent investigation may be necessary to get a full picture of what is happening at St. Hope Public Schools. And with that, I would like to introduce Mariah Bowman, one of our students at Sac High.
Hello, my name is Mariah Bowman, and I am a current 11th grader at Sac High. Tonight, I want to talk about my experience of the last 3 years I've been on campus. The only year I've had all my classes filled with teachers was freshman year. After that, there has been no consistency. We don't have teachers who have the right credentials teaching me the subjects I need to know. We have teachers who have a specialty in one subject teaching one completely different subject. This really affects our ability to learn and have the necessary skills to thrive after graduation. Of course, Sac High gets you to college, but I don't feel like it prepares me. Sac High does have good connections. For example, they have multiple opportunities with UC Davis and have opportunities to be involved with the community. Even though these are great opportunities, I don't feel prepared when it comes to my academic future. I want to go into the medical field and want to be a doctor, but I don't feel like my math or science classes have prepared me for university level courses. I don't believe Sac High is preparing me or any other students for success after graduation. Sac High is a very tight-knit community because of the relationships between the coaches, students, and teachers. So when we have situations where we have no teachers, that breaks the community. Even though the teachers, coaches, and students are very tight-knit, it seems like the school prioritizes money and the image of the school instead of the future and the well-being of the kids. The only reason I'm not leaving is because I'm too established and I would be behind at any other school. This is not fair to me or any other students at Sac High. We deserve an education that prepares us for our promising futures ahead. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendents, all board members. I'm Joseph Bowman, Mariah Bowman's dad. I'm currently the parent of an 11th grader at Sacramento Charter High School. For the last 20 years, my wife and I have sent all 4 of our children to Sac High. It used to be a place I was proud to send all of our children. It was definitely a place where we sent them back in those years when they went. We were definitely proud to send them there. But in the last few years, there's been nothing positive that I can honestly say, my wife and I, about the school anymore. Definitely have lost a lot of confidence in the school and in St. Hope's program. My wife and I were incredibly alarmed to learn that there is no curriculum being offered to teachers. We were both even more shocked to learn that there is no textbooks for my daughter that she can use and support in her learning. As you guys just heard, she wants to go into the medical field, and textbooks are very important. It's unacceptable that these basic resources are being denied to our students. There is no way our children can get a rigorous education. We expect basic resources like a curriculum and textbooks. Those are just the basics that we request. We were also informed that most of the teachers at Sac High were uncredentialed. This is evident that the administration does not prioritize recruiting and retaining qualified educators for our students, our youth. The constant turnovers of staff does not provide stability, nor does it provide confidence in students that need to be successful in their learning. Students need to be able to create lasting relationships with their teachers to be successful, just as I did when I was in high school. I still talk to some of my high school teachers to this day. St. Hope's fires teachers mid-year for what appears to be a union activity retaliation and has substitutes hand out packets remaining of the quarter. This is disgraceful. To have a packet handed out to high school students, that's no job for our kids and our youth. My wife and I have brought all these concerns to St. Hope administrations in the past, but they have fallen on deaf ears. We are here tonight because it's time for someone to listen, address our concerns. My wife and I have submitted a letter to Amanda Goldman requesting the SCUSD investigate St. Hope's current practices. It terrifies my wife and I to think that our daughter will not be academically ready for college because the learning she's received from St. Hope. If I had been aware of this, just how far St. Hope have fallen, I would not have allowed my daughter to stay in St. Hope. Again, we live in Elk Grove, so we commute her all the way to St. Hope because we try to support our schools and we try to support St. Hope. The only reason she's still there now is because this will be too far behind to take her anywhere else, which we've already looked into. This is unacceptable. St. Hope needs to do a better job. Our students deserve better. Our community deserves better. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, board. My name is Yolanda Hankerson, and I too have sent all my children to St. Hope School over the last probably about 15 years. My youngest son is still enrolled at Sac High, St. Hope Public School, and I'm here tonight because I'm very disturbed by the current state of St. Hope. It breaks my heart. It really does. There have been numerous of health and safety issues that I have brought to the campus monitors, to the school principals, to the police. Over the last few years, it's been really bad. There's no safe place for students to go before and after school. Last year, there was a gun braised at the school, where incident after school, and all the children that were waiting to go to their basketball practice had to run for their lives, leaving behind all their belongings. This incident was not reported to parents. There was also an incident where there was a big fight right after school, and there was people getting out of cars, fighting this one girl, and I was told that we're gonna have a meeting, and that was 2023, and I still haven't had a meeting. So there is overall a lack of transparency when it comes to communication from Sac High administrators. I'm a very involved parent, I'm an advocate, I'm an educator myself, and when I make my presence at school, I hold myself accountable, my children accountable, and the staff. Unfortunately, because there's no lack of transparency, there's no follow-up, there's not much else I could do but come and bring it in front of you guys and hope that you guys will do the right thing. Earlier this year, there was an incident involving my son with the teacher that they brought on, and this teacher was rude, disrespectful, and treated my son with disdain, distrust, and dismissed him, which is unacceptable. I spoke with the superintendent, Lisa Ruda, and she assured me that the head dean of the students, Dean Powell, will follow up and to address my concerns. I'm still waiting. It's been about 3 months now. I have been waiting for months to hear back. The principal, Christina Williams, is consistently sending out emails to parents, wonderful things, but not being transparent, not communicating with us when we have a concern. It's just like silence, a radio, just silent. We need to be able to trust the school that has appointed the appropriate protocols and procedures in place to keep our children safe. And I don't feel like that's being done. I don't feel like Christina James Williams is the person that should have took over Mrs. Singh's place. I feel like they put her in that position just to put her in that position. And she's really doing a horrible job. There's no transparency. Another major concern is the lack of support my son gets with an IEP. I have had to take him last year during summer. I had to have my son, who is at UCLA, he is a Sac High graduate, I had to have him sit 4 to 6 hours a day to go over a subject because my son last year in 10th grade had no teachers, and his math teacher was a horrible person, and he did not give my son anything. Now my son has a B in that class. That's thanks to his brother, Shaban Hankerson. I'm gonna say his name because he's the one who gets the credit that sat with my son because I was also working because I'm an educator, and he sat with him 4 to 6 hours a day teaching him the subject of algebra. There is inconsistency in my son's IEP being met. I'm constantly every year going to the teacher saying he needs to sit in the front. Do you have his IEP? Do you know he's supposed to get this extra support? Do you know he's supposed to get this? Do you know these are the things that his auditory processing delay? And they're like, oh no, so that's a failure. They need to do better. The education specialists at Sac High are sometimes uncredentialed and don't have the resources. They come in and out. There's never any consistency. The only consistent person I can give credit to is Miss Trapp, and she's always communicating open and transparent with me. It's obvious that St. Hope does not care to address the recruitment retention problems they have. 10th grade having not one teacher, having Christina James Williams as the principal, yeah, and she's not being transparent. My son's, this year the education is just been terrible, and I think you guys get my point. When good educators leave, when they fire an educator because they're trying to unionize versus not firing a teacher who disrespected me and my son to my face and told him that if he was going into entertainment, then he'd have his life together. Not acceptable, still waiting for a callback. We are here tonight to bring to your attention the concerns that we have for St. Hope Public Schools. We did submit a letter to Ms. Amanda Goldman requesting that Sac City Unified School District investigate St. Hope, and I am here as a parent and advocate and a support person. If you need me to help you guys do that, I am willing to do the work to get things done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Nick Brundage, and I teach biology and microbiology at Health Professions High here in Sac City. Before I started at Health Professions this year, I taught 8th grade science at PS7 Middle School for 2 years. And last year I was on the union leadership team negotiating with the St. Hope administration to improve conditions for educators and students. Even though I no longer work for St. Hope, I felt compelled to be here today to speak on behalf of the students and educators at St. Hope because St. Hope Public Schools is failing. It is failing their students. It is failing their educators. As an educator in my first year in Sac City, I've been pleasantly surprised by things that most teachers would find completely normal. I have a curriculum. I have textbooks. I have lab space. I have a budget for lab supplies. My school has an emergency plan. Textbooks, classroom supplies, a written lockdown procedure. These are things that we spent 2 years fighting for at St. Hope because they were not provided to us. These are things that we bargained for. We took to the bargaining table with the administration, and they fought against us. In 2 years at St. Hope, I spent hundreds of unpaid hours writing my own curriculum, thousands of dollars that I fundraised or took out of my own pocket on lab supplies and even basic supplies like binders and pencils. After 2 years of 60-hour work weeks, of fighting and scratching and clawing to be treated like a professional, of walking into a school that was 50% staffed and watching my students who hadn't had a credentialed math teacher in nearly 3 years be handed math packets every day that they didn't know how to do by a rotating cast of substitute teachers, of dealing with poorly handled safety issues like intruders on campus barging into classrooms, a student stabbing another student, teachers being threatened with cap guns, and a gun being fired on campus less than 10 feet away from me. I did the only thing I could. I left. And it broke my heart. I didn't want to leave my students behind like that. I didn't want to create another vacancy that either wouldn't be filled or would be filled with someone who likely had no experience and no credential. But they gave me no choice. St. Hope gives its educators no choice but to leave. They spend their money hanging banners all over the neighborhood, sticking their logo on every building they can find, and they're providing nothing to their students. No matter what statistics they can throw out there, you have to remember, these are schools without teachers and without textbooks. What are students learning in a classroom that has no teacher and no book? As the Oversight Committee for St. Hope, I hope that you will take what we've told you today into deep consideration and thoroughly investigate St. Hope Public Schools. They need to do better for their students, staff, and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, SEIU. SEIU. Next up, TCS. TCS. Teamsters. UPE. Item 8.2, District Advisory Committees. Student Advisory Council. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Hello, Board. Student Advisory Council is currently working on our initiatives regarding campus hygiene and gender-neutral restrooms, which will be presented at the next board meeting alongside another student-made resolution on environmental sustainability. Also, we're still holding weekly meetings on Wednesdays, and we'd love to see more of you attend if you're able to. Cool. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Next up, Community Advisory Committee. CAC. DLAC, District English Learner Advisory Committee. LCAP, Local Control Accountability Plan, Parent Advisory Committee. BAAAB, Black African American Advisory Board. Community Schools Advisory Committee. American Indian Education Program Parent Committee. Hope to see you all at the next meeting. Item 9, special presentation, 9.1, approve resolution number 3409, recognition of School Principals Day, May 1, 2024, by Miss Yvonne Wright and Miss Kansi McCarn. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening, Board President Lavinia Phillips, Superintendent Lisa Allen, Board of Trustees. My name is Yvonne Wright, Chief Academic Officer. Tonight, I will be presenting a resolution number 3409 for recognition of School Principals Day, May 1st, 2024. Whereas May 1st, 2024 has been designated as School Principals Day, and whereas today's school principal is a team leader, coach, counselor, collaborator, cheerleader, and more, all in one, and whereas being a site instructional leader and building a positive school culture and climate on campus may be the most critical role of a principal's duty to all students, and whereas instructional leadership of a principal's involve setting clear goals, managing curriculum, monitoring lesson plans, allocating resources equitably, and evaluating data regularly to drive grade level readiness, and whereas when good school leaders excel, their actions can change the lives of students, staff, and community members. And Whereas principals overcome obstacles and challenges daily to make a difference in the lives of students and families. And whereas we are fortunate to have dedicated site leaders that go above and beyond each and every day for the district students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education commends our principals and encourages parents and the community to recognize the efforts of principals as we celebrated May 1st, 2024. Passed and adopted by the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education on this first day of May 2024 by the following vote.
All right. We have any public comments, sir?
We do not.
Any board discussion? Any of my colleagues want to share anything? We are moving on. We have a motion by Member Pritchett. Seconded, I hear down there by Member Villa. And student preferential vote.
Aye. Member Kayada? Member Jean? Aye. Member Phillips?
Aye.
Member Pritchett? Aye. Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you. Next up, item 9.2. Approve Resolution 3406, recognition of National School Nurse Day. That's being presented by Ms. Jacqueline Garner. I'm just dropping stuff all over the place. Sorry. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice to see you, Board President Phillips, Superintendent Allen, and board members. It is my privilege to be here tonight to introduce our board resolution honoring and recognizing National School Nurse Day. As I present this resolution, I won't go and read the entirety, but I did want to lift up a few items to really honor the work that our school nurses and health services team does. So, beginning with recognizing that May 8th, 2024 has been designated as the National School Nurse Day. And whereas credentialed school nurses with specialized medical backgrounds and academic preparation promote and protect the health and well-being of all children from infants to our students with special needs. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and ensuring our students' academic success for more than 120 years. And whereas school nurses play an essential role in ensuring children are ready to learn and are thriving. So therefore, be it resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education commends our school nurses and encourages all students and staff to honor and recognize the valuable contributions of our school nurses as we celebrate this day on May 8th. And in spirit of this recognition, I wanted to take the opportunity to acknowledge our 42 school nurses as well as the rest of our health service team. We have one of our wonderful nurses here who serves at John Still. But they all serve as advocates for our students and families to manage our the health problems that our students are experiencing, enabling all of our students to be ready to learn in school and just overall thrive in life. And so just really want to acknowledge the compassionate care they provide every day, and not in recognizing Jeff, who's here, but also those of our nurses who I know are watching as well, but just wanted to really acknowledge all that they do. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment, sir?
We do not.
Thank you. Board discussion. Anyone? Member Pritchett moves, seconded by Member Rhodes. Student preferential vote?
Aye. Roll call. Member Kayada?
Aye.
Member Jean?
Aye.
Member Phillips?
Aye.
Member Pritchett? Aye. Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Aye.
Member Villa?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Garner.
All right, thank you very much.
Next up, 9.3, approving Resolution 3404, recognition of Foster Care Awareness Month, May 2024. Ms. Holmes.
Good evening, Board President Phillips, Superintendent Allen, and board members. I am honored to be here tonight to present this board resolution recognizing the month of May as National Foster Care Awareness Month. In the interest of time, I will just read a few of the resolutions. Now therefore it be resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education does hereby recognize the month of May as National Foster Care Awareness Month. Be it further resolved that Sacramento City Unified School District staff members recognize the unique challenges faced by youth in foster care and are committed to increase the level of awareness on issues facing those youth and their outcomes. Be it further resolved that Sacramento City Unified School District commends the public and community agencies, groups, and individuals who provide care and support for youth in foster care, including the Sacramento City Unified School District Foster Youth Services staff, and encourages all students and staff to honor and recognize the valuable contributions of all those who support youth in the foster care system as we recognize National Foster Care Awareness Month. In closing, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge my team, 2 of them who are here with us tonight, and just express my gratitude for your dedication and hard work that all of you put into ensuring the success of our students. Your passion for helping young people and providing the best possible support system for our kiddos is truly commendable, and I thank you. I also want to take an opportunity to acknowledge our resource parents, our relative caregivers, community partners, and also our collaborative district partners such as transportation and the youth development support services. They all play a part in ensuring that our kids have successful school experiences. So I wanted to make sure I said thank you to them, and we appreciate all that you do. Thank you again for your time and this opportunity.
Thank you. Any public comments, sir? Would anyone like to share? Well, I'm going to share. Ms. Holmes, I have been speaking to you for years, and this is the first time I have actually been able to see your face.
Yes.
As a social worker, man, these folks are the top of my list of what I need when I have a child in my care who has no idea what they can do. And you guys arm them with what they need. I appreciate everything that you guys do. That doesn't mean I forgot about our nurses and principals, because you guys are bomb too, but this right here is something that is just floating on the under. Like, no one knows you guys exist, and we call you and it all happens. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
So with that, Ms. Pritchett's moving it today. Who's our second? Ms. Phillips moving it. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
Roll call.
Member Kayada. Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Phillips.
Aye.
Member Pritchett. Aye. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, item 9.4. Approve Resolution 3405, recognition of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. That's presented by Ms. Segura.
All right. Okay, so I am happy to present this resolution alongside Justine. We were invited by the team to collaborate with them through the SAC and the Mental Wellness Alliance, and we are working now to present our collaborated efforts. So we did have a few more people on board, but unfortunately they were not able to make it tonight just because of some timing issues. So we'll get right into it. Resolution number 3405, recognition of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is an essential part of overall well-being, impacting individuals, families, and communities across Sacramento City Unified School District. And whereas, according to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 17% of youth ages 6 through 17 and 22% of adults will experience a mental health disorder. And whereas the 2022 to 2023 California Healthy Kids Survey of Sacramento City Unified 7th, 9th, and 11th graders showed that 37% reported feeling chronically sad or hopeless, and 17% had seriously considered suicide in the past 12 months.
Whereas evidence shows that unrecognized and/or untreated trauma or mental health issues may lead to low school attendance, academic concerns, family conflicts, substance abuse, and even suicide attempts or death by suicide. And whereas with proper support and treatment, children, youth, and adults can recover from mental illness and lead full, productive lives in the community. And whereas public awareness of the importance of mental health and well-being and reducing the stigma associated with mental health struggles allows community members of all ages to find acceptance and understanding in their communities.
And whereas May is recognized nationally as Mental Health Awareness Month, providing an opportunity to raise awareness, combat stigma, and promote mental health resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education does hereby recognize May 2024 as Mental Health Month, and be it further resolved that the Sacramento City Unified School District Board of Education commends the work of addressing the social and emotional needs of our students and raising mental health awareness by maintaining school-based mental health support staff in every school, and for the ongoing efforts undertaken to do the following.
Establish a new Student Mental Wellness Council to increase student voice and leadership around the student mental and behavioral wellness in our SUSD community. Challenge stigma by speaking respectfully and inclusively about mental health. Seek help if they are struggling with their mental health and encourage others to do the same. And create safe and supportive environments for open conversations about mental health.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment?
We have none.
We should be talking about this all the time. Board discussion? Oh, I'm gonna speak. I gotta say. Yes. I am extremely proud of this being our students coming to us with a resolution. Our staff has worked diligently with these young people, but I sat in a meeting last Wednesday with these young folks, and they were like, we already know. Just make sure we have some points we hit, but you guys know what you're doing, and the leadership and the voices that we need to hear need to come from our young people, which absolutely leans into the fact that we also need to make sure that their minds are healthy. And everyone forgets that we all have mental health. Sometimes it's not so good, and sometimes it's okay. And as a person who deals with mental health like on a daily basis and struggling with it, I'm sitting here as board president doing what I gotta do, but making sure that I take care of myself the way I need to. So I truly and absolutely appreciate the fire. This, I believe, is our first resolution from our Student Advisory Council. I absolutely look forward to seeing many more. And like I told you guys last Wednesday, light it up, right? Ask for what you need, and we will help you get what we can get for you. But you know, adult business, bureaucracy stuff. But that's another story for another day, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I know I had a motion from Ms. Pritchett. Happily. And then second, Madam. Mr. Rhodes, I am so sorry. You know that. That's love on the board dais. Student preferential vote, you may answer from here.
Aye.
Roll call.
Member Kayada. Member Jean. Aye. Member Phillips.
Absolutely.
Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you. Follow the youth leaders. It looked like y'all was doing something. I was gonna wait. Alrighty, item 9.5. We have a school safety update. That is Mr. Lozada and Ms. Navarro. Melicia and Mr. Raymond. And a crew is coming up, so that's exciting.
Who we roll with?
Floor is yours.
All right, good evening, Superintendent Allen. On the other side of the table, President Phillips and the rest of the distinguished board members. We're glad to be able to finally get here to talk about our safety update. We're gonna tag team this, and I guess, we're standing up, so we better get this thing rolling. Melicia and I are gonna tag team this, and she's gonna have the honor of starting us off here.
Thank you, Ray. It's my first time. I'm excited. Watch you guys on Thursdays. My thing I like to do is be invested in our school. So part of that is sharing what we do. So we're going to share the safety update that is developed from me and Ray. My name is Melissa Navarro. I'm the Safety Intervention and Response Coordinator for the Office of Safe Schools. Any good safety model includes prevention and intervention as a key part of the strategy. Standing with me is our team of safety officers, leads, and also community members, community orgs that we work with. But for the leads and we designed this prevention and intervention effort that you're gonna learn about today, and we use data-driven strategies and collaboration as key in order to provide an equitable and restorative safety response. So the lead campus supervisor makes up a majority of the Safe Schools Department. They take care of anywhere from 11 to 17 schools. As you may remember, we have 5 groupings of our schools are grouped into 5 groups. And then there's one comprehensive high school, and then all the feeder schools that go into it. So this is a little bit of what they do, but first I would like them to come to the mic and introduce themselves.
How you doing? Max Conrad, lead campus supervisor, Safe Schools, Rosemont Brackett.
Stephanie Badger, lead campus supervisor of the Johnson Bracket.
Hi, Shiloh Allen, Rosemont Bracket, lead campus supervisor.
Okay, so some of them are streaming from home, so hello. Our first major task was to answer the question of what does it look like to utilize case management from a safety team? Our answer to that, designing a restorative student-centered approach. This begins with our belief that students inherently have everything they need to succeed. They have a lot of strengths, and we're just there to facilitate the process. Using each summer to reflect from all of our experience in the field from the year before, we pretty much take the summer, edit our model and our practices, and then we train. Last summer, we developed the definition of case management that we use, which is taking a student through a process to address and understand their issues, circumstances, and needs, using a strengths-based approach, and we collaborate. You create a collaborative goal to center the work and then connect them to internal SCUSD or community resources to improve their situation. So with lived experiences and having had our own life challenges growing up and finding our way, we listen to the students and build rapport, and these interactions are very authentic. They have heart, and they're very respectful. Activities include check-ins, brief intervention sessions, goal setting, harm circles, restorative returns, skills building, to name a few. Our next challenge was to be strategic with how and where our team is utilized to ensure focus and impact to meet our Safe Schools goals of preventing negative outcomes for students, as well as mitigating issues from becoming larger safety concerns for the school community. Our answer to this challenge, using a data-driven strategy for effective responsiveness. We can impact the system, we can impact it by design if we trust in equitable choices. Here's what our service population and service location strategy looks like. To align with the MTSS strategy, multi-tiered systems of support that provide tiered interventions, we serve students with the frequency and severity of safety-related behavior that warrants intervention. Although we have an early identification system in our district, it does have limitations for discerning type of behavior rather than just a cumulative count. Our team pulls the data, categorizes it between safety and non-safety related behaviors. We sort and filter in order to prioritize based on severity. We use a similar strategy for identifying service location. To ensure equity and service from our district team, we identified the top 25 to 30 schools with the most documented safety-related behaviors to be proactive with prevention and intervention. Each lead serves all the schools in the bracket, but they make a concerted effort to have a higher presence at a specific 5 to 6 schools in their care. We have 4 referral types, so in addition to all my data crunching, we use case staffing, which includes Ray, field observations, school admin, and staff alerts so that we can be responsive in real time. And then our next challenge is bridging the gaps by integrating and aligning with ongoing efforts. We have so many gyms in our schools and our community, and we recognize each other's strengths, and we want to build upon what the work is already being done and reinforce and create new possibilities. This is relationship-driven strategy, and then here's an example of some of our collaborations. So culture and climate, this department helped us build concrete skills in restorative justice and restorative practices. So other than the culture and climate team, we were the only team trained and authorized to run formal restorative conferences. So thank you to Danny, Candace, and Manisha for believing in us. Success Academy, a restorative return is when a school dedicates a staff person to welcome a student after they've been removed from campus. So there's someone there to greet them. So Success Academy reached out, and we assist them with activating the student-developed transition plan that they created. Thank you to Jackie, Teresa, Michelle, and Coach Jay. And then one of our biggest collaborations is with Student Support and Health Services. We have interdepartment presentations. We trained in brief intervention for substance using adolescents. We attend school site cost meetings. Thank you to Jacqueline, Liz, their whole team, Kibi, Aaliyah, Christina, and many more. And then we also use the district's robust data tools and consult with strategy and continuous improvement. So a thank you to Wayne, Ed, Bilal, and Stephen. Okay, final slide for me was prevention and intervention. This captures what our service looks like. As of the end of April, 149 school days occurred. Our service logs track the daily services that the lead campus supervisors provide. One part of that log asks a simple yes or no, did you provide the service today? So over the course of the year, cumulatively, there were about 3,600 non-urgent services that occurred from the lead campus supervisors. I'll give some examples there. Roaming students, campus coverage, that kind of thing. 348 emergency and urgent services occurred from the leads. So this doesn't include the safety officers, but there's things like fights, escalated students, elopement. There are also some other little data there, 1,800 campus visits, 3,000 case management sessions, 1,900 consultations or discussions about safety or students. So some of our team members have been recognized for building positive relationships, empathy, and self-discipline. But before I leave the mic, I just wanted you guys everyone in the room, to join me in thanking this important team. The community identified this role as important. Ray Lozada ensured that it was upheld in this model, and I'm proud of what we have done to bring this vision to life and serve our school community members. Round of applause.
Man, she was burning through that. It started off with Mary told me today about 4 times, 15 minutes. I went and told Melisha, and she got through that thing with a script, didn't she? So, but it's a lot to capture, and these are conversations that we definitely, if there's any interest, we can figure out a format to expand. So we're talking about, we had phase 1, which basically is when we first, made the resolution to go to the reimagined school safety approach. We developed that and kind of worked it into phase 2, and that's what we've been doing for the last about year and a half, almost 2 years. And this year will be the 3rd year that we've been able to function, without the contracted service, the contract and the services provided by Sacramento Police Department. And so for the most part, I think what that first part of the presentation captures is what's going on 90% of the time, with our staff and how they're spending time. And I would say 5% or less is when we're in crisis. And we do have relationships with our law enforcement partners. They show up when we need them. But there's so much more capacity, as you can see, that we've been able to incorporate just to reduce our dependency and to do things, handle things at the district level, which, is something to be proud of. So in 2020, of course, that's what the resolution happened. But I just want to highlight that we were charged to develop and implement a strategy that will meet the needs of our district in a student/community responsive way. And so what we're going to talk about is a collaboration, and it's nothing new, really. It's just tying together a lot of the stuff we're doing. We're mediating conflicts. I mean, sometimes it's 3-4 times a week, bringing in multiple families. If it's a 5-on-2 fight, we're bringing in 7 families, and there's just no shortcut around it. And we also rely on bringing in community partners, because we know that underneath the fight and the crisis are issues that need to be addressed. So this is our economy. I've been using this slide for a while. We're committed to this process, understanding that our parents and our guardians are up front, and our school communities, community organizations, and it works best when we can even involve them in intervention and prevention before it turns into suspension and expulsion. So mediating conflict is where we spend a good part of our time getting ahead of situations. So we know that this year we learned that we can no longer look at school safety as only what happens at school with our students. We know that at night, on the weekends, the things that are happening with our students, we have to be diligent and prudent in how we're addressing the community conflict, because it will show up on campus, as well as campus issues showing up in the community. And so we have 2 of our community partners, Movement for Life and Hope, amongst Architects of Hope and Ball Out Academy, would all represent some pretty strategic parts of our school district when we're talking about health professions and CV Circle, Oak Park, Meadowview. These community organizations represent that. And I think I said Architects of Hope, which represents Rosemont. We actually found a nonprofit organization who's organic to Rosemont area over there. So this year we're working to pilot a process that I'm going to quickly talk about. And we've already, it's kind of like, you're laying the ground as you're driving on it. One of our strong collaborations comes through Rose Family. And in this case, we're talking about situations where our students are fighting in their apartment complex. They're getting threatened to be evicted. And so Ms. Jackie and her team is, able to say, hey, we're going to bring these families together, and if we can deal with the problem at school, usually it's something that they'll consider, to maybe sway away from evictions that are underway. And that's happened at least, I can think of 3 separate times. Sierra Health Foundation, my brother's keeper, adopted this as their initiative as something to divert. I think the short-term number is 100 youth from the justice system and probation. I'm not sure Marlon Yarber was going to be here, but we've been meeting with his team at probation to deal with the total process of the school to prison pipeline. So our students not only have issues at school that result in suspension and expulsion and sometimes even citations, but we want to be able to capture the curfew violation and the things that are happening off school hours, and also bring them through a process to where we can really hand some of these issues back to the community to work on. Our students are children of the community first, and as far as being our students and what we're doing, I think a shared responsibility is what came out of the reimagined school safety process that we went through. So, of course, I just want to highlight that restorative means that we're focusing on repairing the harm. I learned that there's no better mechanism for a just outcome than the harmed person and the harmer to sit down and come to some agreements, and no better mechanism to achieve safety, than that process. It helps us to not have to sit back and try to figure out punitive as much as allowing it to have a natural process to heal. So I'm going to get through this. I just want to make sure that I highlight that we're talking about addressing Tier 3, Tier 4 safety-related behaviors. So some of the classroom interventions and different things, we're trying to really reduce our dependency on situations turning into criminal and requiring law enforcement intervention. So that's kind of the area we're focused on, in addition to the students that we're actually working with throughout the year. All right, I could take a breath. This is the model. And basically, it's a behavioral incident, so it captures school behaviors and citations for probation. Any student who gets cited, that's a Sac City Unified School District student, will be eligible for this process. And it's basically having a panel of 3 that develop a success plan forward. Upon completion of the plan, the citation gets waived, or in this case, I'll just highlight one scenario where we had a 5-on-2 fight. The 5 received 5 days of suspension each, which is 25 days. We were able to bring everybody to the table on day 3, and the principal said, hey, based on the agreements, everybody can come back to school Monday, which saved 2 days of suspension for 5 kids. That was 10 days total. And that's just basically been how we've been functioning in incorporating our community organizations to do some of the outreach, to bring families together, to have some conversations and make sure everything is going to level up and to be able to move forward with the healing and the restorative process. So this model is being housed and led at the community level with our community partners, but set up to hear probation citations involving our students and also to help us mediate a lot of these conflicts. So with that, let me hit the button. I think 15 minutes and 25 seconds, we got it done. So.
Thank you for that presentation. Do we have any public comment, sir?
We do not.
No one wants to comment.
Cruising right through this thing.
We kind of are. That's good. Any of my colleagues want to share? Ms. Pritchett?
Always, right? Thank you. I just had some questions regarding the data that you had shared. Let's see, what page was it on?
So you get your stripes right here.
The numbers in regard to the occurrences. Yeah. I'm just wondering if you had adequated the data to find out maybe pre-COVID to where we're at. Has it grown? Has it
Because, so I have, so this one here is based on their logs that they report to me every day what they did. So that's where that comes from. However, there is another set of data. Remember, I was telling you guys I pull all the data and categorize it. So we can pull any year and then with Excel, the magic of Excel, get it all sorted and we can tell how much percent are drug related, are weapons related, so we could do that. It's just, since it's manual.
Yeah.
Us doing it, would take some time.
I'm just curious to know, are we getting better? Are we getting worse?
Yeah.
That's all I was curious about. Yeah. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for this presentation. I know I'm always curious to know where we are at in regard to safety. And I'm really happy to see that we're going to the restorative justice route. I'm a firm believer in knowing that restorative justice does work if it's done correctly, right? And so I'd love to hear some, maybe later, hearing some
success stories
without names attached, of course.
Absolutely.
Hearing a success story of maybe 1 or 2 students that knowing that this is really working. And I am curious also. I know that we're responsible for kids even when they leave school on their way home, right? And I know I even called Superintendent Allen of hey, I just left, I'm going down Kiefer and I see these kids running amok on their bicycles down Kiefer Boulevard, popping wheelies on their bicycles, running in and out of traffic, playing chicken, right? And so I'm curious, what is our responsibilities in regard to safety when our kids leave our school sites now that we are going this route?
Absolutely. Well, we're in great shape because we actually have 5 safety officers that we can send out to assess what's going on. Not only the issues that came up at Rosemont, but also at Kennedy and the apartment complexes. We put safety officers over there to identify the students, and then we start contacting parents and making those notifications. I mean, these are things that, and I think we got to clarify, kids that go straight home and straight to school is where we have our, our responsibility. So, we know that we've dealt with crowded bus issues and had to work with RT and actually had our safety officer following the bus every day for about a month, which things that we're not going to get if we don't, which are things that we can do internally. And if things get out of hand or there's a need to get law enforcement involved because of traffic or certain things, then they'll make that adjustment. But we have these nice little light bars on top that work pretty good when you're driving up and down the street and hitting your air horn to get kids, out of harm's way. So, they work great together. Militia raised the bar and introduced themselves, but we don't have the time. But, we have our safety officers, Kenneth Jefferson from Kennedy, James is McClatchy, Manuel's Burbank, and Mr. Anthony Jones, who's only going to be with us for a few more months, is Rosemont. Who am I missing? Oh, Howard. How can I miss him standing right there? Howard is Johnson High School. And so the target and the hot spots and the things that we used to do, not only do we just have officers there, but we have safety officers who know the kids. So the conversation and just the relationship opportunities is what helps us to get it done. I did try to capture some police calls from the last 3 years, but to sort that out, they just dumped us just a huge list of call after call after. And it was like, we don't know who made the call or but we do keep track. Each safety officer keeps track of their interventions. We're doing it pretty manually through spreadsheets and whatnot. Just dealing with everything that we can. And I think we've got a pretty good feel of how to respond in most scenarios with our experience over the last 3 years.
So is the job of a safety officer after school is over? They just kind of drive around the neighborhood for a certain amount of time to make sure that the kids are...
No, we're not, because we can't get too beyond our scope. A best thing we're going to be able to do off of a campus is be a good witness. Driving around neighborhoods and doing that, we're pretty intentional, with where we're going to be and what the problems are. But if we get a call, in Kenneth's case for Kennedy recently, they called about some conflict students we're having at the bus stop. Same thing at Johnson. And our safety officers go post up just to be able to observe, and which a lot of times takes the oxygen out of the fire. So,
Right. Well, I'm sure that you guys have heard that if kids are acting up at some of our bus stops, the RT buses just pass them right up. They don't
Right.
even stop. Right.
Yeah. No,
And
we're doing
so
everything we
leave
can.
all the kids there.
Right. We do everything we can. The school site administration is great as well, in being mindful of those areas, after school for that window. Our running joke at Cerna is, you don't get to take a deep breath until about 4:30 or 5 because we just need to make sure everybody got home safe. And I will add 38,000 trips one way and 38,000 trips afterward is what is the accomplishment every day. So just for the sake of context.
Well, thank you all for your hard work in keeping our kids safe. I just want to say to each of you and thank you for that presentation.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Next up, Mr. Kayada.
So I just wanted to say thank you to you all and everyone else who does this work. I have no doubt that this job can sometimes feel thankless, that people complain about the work you're doing or you're not doing what they want, but I just want to say I see it, and I really see your commitment to the vision that we have as a school district and as a community for what restorative justice and what school safety means to us. It's not bringing back a bunch of cops on campus and having a situation where, okay, we arrested some kid, but the problem didn't go away. This is something where, hey, things are going to happen, right? Fights happen. Right. But we have a process now that you all are implementing where we're able to get to the root of it. And I know it must be hard. Yeah. And I know for every success story, there's probably, a bunch of kids where you're like, why can't I get through to this kid? And you just got to work it. And I truly appreciate it. To the same extent, I want to say I really appreciate our community partners working with us on this. Mm-hmm. It's one of the great strengths that we have here in Sacramento is we have such an involved community willing to work with us on, like I said, this thankless job that never ends. I've spoken to this before, and I just want to say again, if you're a community partner with us on something like this, you're a contractor, we sign a contract with you, you got to have your insurance, right? But this is something that we need. And to the extent that we can make this the most white glove experience possible, you show interest and we walk you through the process. We bring in any community group, no matter how inexperienced they are. If they've got the experience to help us with our kids, we need to do that.
Absolutely.
And then just, a statement to the community generally, I know, like I said, fights keep happening. There's always going to be something happening. These are kids. They got their hormones raging. They're wilding, right? But by and large, I think these kids are good and they just can thrive with the guidance we can give them. And this team, I know this plan, this will deliver. My final ask, I guess, is, keep telling us what you need. I know you need probably some more money for some more people. Like, tell us, that's a priority for me, is continuing the investment in this area. All right? I guess I answered that.
I just tried to seal that. I tried to seal that with a little, no, it's been great. The great thing about having our Lisa as our superintendent, and I told her today, is that she's been part of this process with every thought, with every turn since day one, because she was Mary at the time, and Mary knows what it's like having Ray in your doorway, just looking at you, wondering what he can bring up sometimes. But that's the communication and it's the leadership, and that's what I'm so excited about. I can't say thank you enough for stepping into the role, because I really feel like we're going to be able to further this and move it to the next level. To see what kind of potential we can really have, because we got this far. But it's her leadership. So now she's just on another bigger level with budgets, like you just said. I just want to make sure that we got that understanding. But no, you're right about our community partners. We have the best. We have the best. I mean, I wouldn't collaborate with anything less, and that means they get down to the grittiness of it, contacting parents that we don't have on our emergency cards. Reaching out, bringing to their attention the need to come and have mediations and setting up some agreements with very difficult, stuff with our families that are struggling a lot out there. So these are the ones that are here. Kenneth Duncan joined us later from Ball Out Academy. See, and that's, I mentioned M. Farrell and Hope already, so absolutely. Thank you for that. I almost got a little quiver lip going, giving us some love like that. All right.
Thanks. Member Jean?
I think one of my favorite parts, like thinking about it as a teacher, when you're an educator that's on a campus every day, you get a sense of the culture and like the mood, and I love that you are there building those relationships. So when the loud noise is, you can hear it immediately when it shifts, right? And that's what I love about this program and the work. Like, this is truly groundbreaking, grappling with the deep conversations of what does it mean to create safety on a campus, recognizing that every single one of those precious humans deserves their rights while they're navigating really challenging life circumstances. And the fact that your hearts are here and that you're part of the community and that you're on those campuses and that those kiddos, it's just truly powerful. When I first got elected and came to the board and was overwhelmed by all I was learning about Sac City, this program and you all were like one of the first things that stood out as I'm going to be, damn, something good is happening here. So thank you for your hearts, thank you for your work, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Villa.
I will keep my comments short because my fellow board members definitely said all of the things that I was thinking. Ray, you and your team, every time you come and give these reports to us, it's always it's great to hear what we're doing because, like you said, it's different and it's good work. But I always, was thinking about listening to your presentation. It's so easy in our district to talk about problems. Right. And I love that you guys are coming to us with real solutions. And that's how I always think in my mind, okay, what's the problem, but what's the solution? And this process breaks it down so clear with community, families, actually having the hard conversations to hopefully get to some kind of, calm peace on campus. So right. Again, short, but thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you coming. I've seen you guys before. I drive to the Target, so I see all the things over there. It's getting better. It's getting better. appreciate it. But keep up the great work. The community appreciates it. I know our staff, our students, and I'm sure our families as well, that you are all available to our students. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Singh.
What's up, Ray?
What's going on?
I was so excited about this presentation, but everybody has some great questions. I think one thing is really evident is like when I've attended football games and I've seen that our staff is there, that kids there's that rapport. Kids know what's up, right? They know like, okay, this is not the place that we act a certain way. This is not a place where we should start any sort of violent interaction with anyone. But it's also like not just interacting violently in that moment, but also over time realizing like maybe we should like never violently interact with these folks, right? These could be friends, right? There's relationship building, and I know that you all are doing that. I also want to echo what Member Jean just said, is that this is groundbreaking, and in my conversations with SAC PD, I'm not saying I don't have those conversations. We've had that discussion. My conversations with them has been, hey, you can control what you can control. Get people to slow down on the street. That's something you all can't do. You're not going to do traffic enforcement or traffic safety. That is something that SAC PD can do, and that's a conversation I've been in with them about slowing folks down so that you can actually focus on your jobs. The one issue I'll bring up, and again, it's not something that you can necessarily fix, but bathrooms being closed because we have kids vaping, smoking, all that stuff, and what we end up doing is we just close bathrooms. What that ends up doing is really hurting a lot of kids who probably just have to use the bathroom. That's not okay, right? Just thinking about more intervention around using community partners who are focused on addressing vaping and why it's bad. I can think of a couple, and I'm happy to bring those names to you later, who are doing interactive school conversations and discussions with kids around why vaping is not good for you. And that could be a place where we can start intervening and making sure kids are not doing it in the first place. Otherwise, there's not much you all can do other than enforcing something that's actually going to end up hurting the rest of the students in the district. So I don't know if you've thought about that, but if you have, it would be good to hear your thoughts on bathroom closures and vaping.
You want to talk about that? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that we do have TUPE, which is part of our district, is head by Aaliyah. But it's basically the brief intervention sessions I was speaking about. There's a pre-session, which is like 15 minutes. You let the student know what it's about. And then there's 2 one-hour-long sessions that go into drug usage. So that's another way to approach it, that we're not going to just close a bathroom, but we're going to work with the student to recognize and meet them where they're at in terms of their goals, harm reduction. So that's kind of one example. And then our team, since we have to be fast and quick and you can't maybe not pull them out for 1 hour long, we take that model and make it so that we can break it up into smaller sessions with them. It has goal setting and different things in there.
Yeah, and I think with working closer with the school site, once they know what we're doing, our capacity is, we'll be able to chip away at making sure that we're addressing the students that are struggling with potentially addicted. The vaping thing is our whole country's looking for a solution for that. So we're mindful.
Just on that piece, for example, if I look at this process, right, if something like drug use or something was on there, is there a restorative practice that you have talked about? Where have you all discussed something where like a student who's a repeat offender, making sure that they come into a group listening session around what you're just talking about? Otherwise, we're just citing and saying, don't do that again, don't do that again. And again, it's harming the other students.
I'll just say, when word gets around and we open this up for vaping, we're going to have a backlog of these sessions. So we'll figure out how we can, address the problem. And I wish we had the capacity for, some of the tier 1, tier 2 in intervention, because everything could go through this process. But we'll definitely take a closer look at that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodes?
I didn't want to belabor this. I actually was trying to turn mine off, but I will go. Ray, I get to see your folks on the south side of the city in Area 5 all the time. After school's out, I pull up on them in traffic. They're out there, and they're doing the work. And so it's really meaningful, especially, in my trustee area, when I get to see it, the community sees it, we feel it. Business people around the schools are feeling it. Just to let you guys know that you're having a real impact, and not on like a esoteric or policy levels type stuff, like on the ground floor with people. And so I really appreciate that. And then also, I want to address your bubbly feeling you had with Member Kayada. Yeah, it's a beautiful bubbly feeling. I just want to also point out that he was pointing out his preference and not the will of the board. So maybe no real money coming, maybe some money coming. Just don't want you to pin it right there, you know what I mean? And then everybody was like, oh, man, we got some money coming. But no, just that's all jokes. That's all jokes. Just joking with you, man. But seriously, the work you guys are doing is amazing. And I think that as we continue to kind of maneuver through all the challenges that we might see here in our city, in our state, but then also just locally in our neighborhoods, you guys are tackling some things on a granular level that nobody else is seeing, but everyone's feeling. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say this is some old school support that our students need. I am a little older, and I can recall we had a teacher, his name was Mr. Paez. I went to Highlands High out in North Highlands, and there were folks who knew that there was a presence on the campus that somehow knew wherever you were. If you were doing something wrong, you get hemmed up by Mr. Paez. Not like you guys are beating up our students, but I appreciate the separation, and maybe at some point we're heading toward a golden bell, which will be fantastic. And this is, to me, a wonderful way of defunding the police, because it's not our job to fund law enforcement, to police our children in school. But I appreciate this process, and I look forward to hearing more. Obviously, I'm Area 7, and I don't have a comprehensive high school, but I know you guys touch my continuation school. But it's you have to come home in order to make sure that our kids are all right. Right. And that's what this is. Mm-hmm. So we got a line of, Miss Earl and Mr. Paez. If you guys knew these people, you would know that is an honorable commendation for y'all. Mm. So I appreciate the work and truly appreciate this presentation, and look forward to hearing more.
All right.
Okay, so I just really, this was just a presentation. I almost want to ask for a vote on some happiness, but Taylor and...
We'll take it.
Right now, we're not heading toward a money thing, but we have to make sure this keeps going, because this is working.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you all. I'm not going to make y'all stand anymore, but I think almost the requirement to do this is like 5 foot, what? You guys are all tall. It's fantastic.
I know. We didn't recruit a football team. It just happened that way. Yeah. Well, and one thing I want to add is that this summer, we're going to focus on safety and actually campus monitor duties. We, for the first year with Militia, we went in on a lot of the strategy for the caseloads, and we just secured a date for Navigate 360 to come and certify 20 of our staff to be certified ALICE trainers, which is the new, more updated best practices on having conversations about active shooter from, kinder all the way up to high school. They'll be here, and we're going to layer that with Stop the Bleed, because we want to have a balanced capacity, and we got to show up and be able to present or be able to provide something to the school site in the context of supervision for this to work. So that's our emphasis for this summer, and we'll keep doing what we're doing and stack it on, and hopefully it don't cost too much.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Have a good evening, y'all. That was an information item. 9.6, approve resolution number 3402, authorizing the issuance and sale of its general obligation bonds 2020 election, 2024, Series B, in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $262,500,000, authorizing the distribution of an official statement for the bonds and other documents and action related thereto. Ms. Marking, the floor is yours.
My job is done. Thank you so much. Good evening, President Phillips, Superintendent Allen, members of the board, and community. I'm Janae Marking, Chief Business and Operations Officer. This is item 9.6, approval of resolution 3402 for Measure H issuance authorization. It is my pleasure to present this for action. We do not have a formal presentation prepared for this evening, as you are updated regularly on Measure H projects, both planned and in progress. In recent meetings, you've seen both. Additionally, we have an active CBOC, or Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and a robust communications campaign, highlighting for voters that it is thanks to them that these projects are possible. Again, thank you to our community and voters for their strong support. Measure H for $750 million was approved by voters in 2020. The first issuance of $225 million was authorized in 2022. Cash flow indicates that we are ready for the next issuance, and the resolution tonight is for $262.5 million. The resolution tonight is for $262.5 million, which is half of the remaining $525 million. This issuance allows us to keep projects moving on the timelines promised. I welcome Meredith Johnson of Dennis Williver Kelly, or DWK, the district's bond counsel, to the podium to walk you through the documents included in this item tonight.
The floor is yours.
Good evening, President Phillips, members of the board, Superintendent Allen. It's my pleasure to help you with this resolution, which is a little bit longer maybe than most of the resolutions that you see. But it is similar to the resolutions that you have approved in the past, issuing bonds. And it contains pretty much the standard provisions that you would need. It describes the county's involvement in that they will levy the taxes to repay the bonds once issued. They will also hold the debt service fund, which is where the taxes are placed once collected, so they can be used, they can be applied to pay the bonds. The county will also hold the building fund so that your bond proceeds are kept separate and apart from your general fund, and that's a requirement of Proposition 39. That's in the resolution. There are some provisions in here that discuss the tax exemption of the bonds, because as you know, when a school district issues bonds, they issue them on a tax exempt basis, which means that the interest rate on the bonds is lower than the typical investment that someone might go out and buy in the marketplace that bears a taxable interest rate. Finally, there is an exhibit, which is the actual form of bond. You may have noticed, President Phillips and Superintendent Allen, that your signatures will be placed on those bonds once the interest rates, I'm getting scared to look over here, maturity dates and amounts have been set. That will come later in the process. Tonight, we're asking for your authorization to move forward with the process to issue and sell the bonds, which will take approximately 2 more months until we actually have the money in the building fund at the county. I welcome any questions you may have on this resolution.
Thank you. First up, Mr. Kayada.
All right, just want to.
Sorry, my bad.
I tried to wait.
Do we have any public comments, sir?
We do not.
Say that so well, thank you. Mr. Kayada, please continue.
All right, yeah, I just want to thank you all for your work on this, and let's put this money to work that the people have voted for. And then one really small thing, because I'm always somehow, I hope I'm the only one who read this thing because it's huge, but you kind of put me in a more expensive neighborhood than I live in. You put me in Area 2 here, so if you could throw me back down into Area 6 on the title page.
Not that big of a difference. Not that big of a difference.
Mr. Kayada, will that be all?
It was a light flex.
Yes. Do any of my other colleagues have anything they'd like to share regarding this fantastic information? This is an action item. We good, y'all? Okay. Then I'd like to. I'll move it. Or you have something that you want to say? Oh, we're moving toward a motion. Okay, Ms. Pritchett's moving. I was like, I don't move or second anything regularly. Someone seconded down there? Ms. Villa seconded. Maybe have roll call, please. Oh, student preferential. Sorry.
Yes, aye.
Student preferential.
Member Kayada. Member Kayada. Oh, sorry. Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Phillips.
Aye.
Member Pritchett. Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Member Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, I appreciate y'all. All right, moving on. Item 9.7. Again, Ms. Marking is up there, approving resolution number 3400, ordering a school bond election on November 5, 2024, requesting a consolidation with other elections occurring on November 5, and authorizing necessary actions in connection therewith. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello again, President Phillips, Superintendent Allen, members of the board and community. This is item 9.7, approval of resolution 3400 to authorize placing a bond measure of $543 million on the November 2024 ballot. It is my pleasure to present this for action this evening. Once again, we do not have a formal presentation prepared for this item, as we have already provided several presentations over the last 12 months. Yes, the conversation first started in June 2023 regarding setting the amount. We went through voter polling feedback, and we also reviewed the proposed project list together. This ballot measure would not increase taxes for our communities. Rather, this is an ask to voters to continue paying the same tax rates as they currently are, to continue supporting our capital needs. We appreciate our voters and their shared interest in a healthy and thriving Sac City Unified. Again, I welcome Meredith Johnson of DWK, our bond counsel, back to the podium to walk you through the documents included in this item tonight. We're also joined by Joe Crump of Dale Scott & Company, which is the district's financial advisor, and also with me is Assistant Superintendent of Facilities Chris Ralston, in case there are questions for any of us on this item. Meredith?
Welcome back, ma'am. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening. So this resolution, the forefront part, I'm combining two words there, basically sets out the parameters of a Proposition 39 election. I mentioned that with Measure H because it also was a Proposition 39 election. And basically what that means is that in order to pass the bond measure, we need 55% approval of voters. There's an alternative method that requires 2/3. Most school districts go with Prop 39 because 55% is clearly easier to achieve than 2/3. But along with that 55% lowered voter threshold, there are some accountability requirements of which you're familiar because they applied to measures Q, R, and H. They are your Citizens Oversight Committee. They're the annual performance audit and financial audit of your bond program, and they are that separate account at the county that holds your project funds in the building fund. So that's what the first, more or less, 5 pages of this resolution describes. Where it actually gets interesting is Exhibit A, which is the 75 words that voters will see when they cast their vote. That's what will be printed in their ballot and you'll see at the end of that 75 words, there's a line for yes or no. So that's the direction to the county to use those 75 words in the ballot. Exhibit B is what we call the full ballot text. The entirety of Exhibit B will be printed in the sample ballot that voters receive at home when they're trying to learn about the measures that are going to be on their ballot. So they'll be able to see all of the information that we present in Exhibit B. And you will notice that Exhibit B includes also, on page B2, the bond project list, which lists all the projects that Assistant Superintendent Ralston presented to you at your last board meeting. And the project list, as you also know, is required under Proposition 39, and when you spend bond proceeds, you can only spend them for items that are on this project list. Finally, the last part of the resolution is Exhibit C. That is the tax rate statement, and that provides some disclosures that voters might be interested in on the impact on their taxes by voting yes on the measure. Any questions on the resolution I can answer?
Thank you. Do you have any public comments, sir?
We do. We have 5 speakers signed up on this topic. Jenna Westbrook Klein, followed by Laura Kerr, and then Brett Barley.
It's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, Board. Jenna Westbrook Klein again, SUSD parent with a student at McClatchy High School, a student at CMP Capitol Campus, and CMP Governing Board representative for Capitol Campus. I'm here tonight to express my support of the proposed bond measure. I see that you have many deserving schools on your list of projects, as well as some overall improvement categories that any school within your district, including charter schools, could qualify for. I am asking you to consider the Thomas Jefferson campus, currently leased by CMP Capital, to be added to your project list, and here is why. We can make any money spent on this campus go twice as far, as we have been awarded a state bond match that is specific to charter school facilities. This would mean that $5 million in investment would result in $10 million of improvements. Looking at the district's facility condition assessment of our campus from 2019, most of the buildings will be nearing the end of their useful life by 2029. That's 5 years from now, which means we should begin planning for these projects very soon. CMP Capital serves a 20% special education population. We can directly serve the needs of children with disabilities with more equitable and inclusive facilities. We have a highly engaged and motivated community. We can help you get out the vote. Helping taxpayers see how approving this bond measure will make a direct impact in their community. Because you see many, if not most, CMP families become SCUSD families. We have our littles in your parent participation preschool programs and our teenagers in your middle schools and high schools. We can speak to the importance of modernizing and improving SUSDS schools, both the CMP charter school and district schools. If there is someone I can connect with to learn more about how we can work together, please have them reach out to me. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next up, Ms. Kerr. Mic is yours.
Laura Kerr with the Charter School Development Center, but I'm here today as a homeowner and a voter here in Sacramento City. I worked with the district back in 2012 to help pass Measure Q&R as a volunteer. I also worked on the parcel tax, which you win some and you lose some. We certainly would rather win some. We talked about Prop 39, which was passed by voters in 2000. That measure certainly lowered the threshold for us to pass bonds here locally, and it's worth noting that Measure H wouldn't have passed if it was not a Prop 39 bond. Prop 39 also guarantees that public school facilities are shared for all public school students, including those attending charter schools. So I hope we can be included in the bond equitably, if not this one, but also in the future. And we're looking forward to making sure this is a success with voters. Thanks.
Thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Hi there. Good evening. My name is Brett Barley. I'm the superintendent of the California Montessori Project Capitol Campus here at the Thomas Jefferson site in the College Glen neighborhood. We serve 350 students here in the district, and 20% of those are students with disabilities. I want to applaud the board for including language in the bond that indicates that bond projects are anticipated to benefit all users of school facilities, sites, and buildings, including charter schools. Back in 2022, CMP and the district jointly applied for a state grant, a charter school rehabilitation grant, to improve the school facility. And I'm pleased to share that we were awarded that grant. So now we have an opportunity in front of us where we can get 50% of that project paid for by the state. The project total amounts out to $10,760,142. And half of that could be free money from the state, with the other half being a local match. Now, we have schools in other districts in the region as well, and we have 2 schools in San Juan Unified District as well. In San Juan, we applied for the same sort of grant for 2 of our schools and partnered with the San Juan Unified School District for their most recent bond. And subsequently, the district has utilized those bond funds to help improve our 2 school facilities there, essentially getting 2 brand new schools for half off in the district that we rent from them. So what an amazing opportunity for us to try to seize this opportunity to bring additional funds into the district. So as our parent representative mentioned, our community would love to support the district in this opportunity and work with you all to try to ensure a successful bond. The second thing we would need to do in order to be successful here is indicate to the state no later than October of 2027 that we do intend to pursue this additional funding. And last but not least, if the board was interested in adding this to the list, the renewal language that you have on the list for those schools designated as renewal would work perfectly fine. We'll be here all evening if there's any questions, and thank you, and we look forward to partnering with you.
Thank you.
2 more speakers, Bo Reynolds and then Shannon Schmidt.
Good evening.
Board, Bo Reynolds with California Charter Schools Association. Here in support of the bond measure. We are also supportive of the district's focus on providing healthy and safe schools in every community for every student in the district, including both public, traditional public schools as well as charters. So thank you so much for your time and your focus on ensuring that we have the best facilities possible for our students. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Ms. Schmidt? It's all yours.
Good evening, Board. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I actually just left CMP Capital, where we have some kids camping out overnight at our facility that we're talking about tonight on a field trip. This is a beloved facility to me. I've been there as an educator for these past 10 years. So we are talking about the Thomas Jefferson facility in this district. It currently houses California Montessori Project, CMP Capital, and I'm here to ask also about this bond measure this evening. So for the last 10 years of my career, I've spent this time at the Thomas Jefferson facility. Over these years, I have watched the facility obviously depreciate and decline. We have a lot of facility issues. I'm here this evening as a current educator there, experiencing our needs that we're facing at this site with our students, asking for you to also consider us. It's been my pleasure to work with Nathaniel Browning and his team on our site. We've had so much support and help, but the needs are extensive. And I know that this bond opportunity would really help us a great deal with what was described by Jenna and described by Brett. This is truly a win-win situation where we could come together and invest in the Thomas Jefferson facility. So please consider our beloved site, our students this evening that are there right as we speak, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Would any of my colleagues like to share anything or anything they'd like to add? Moved by Member Rhodes, seconded by Ms. Villa. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
Member Kayada. Member Jean.
Aye.
Member Phillips.
Aye.
Member Pritchett.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
No? Member Pritchett.
Aye.
Member Rhodes.
Aye.
Singh.
Aye.
Member Villa.
Aye.
Thank you.
With gratitude, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item 10.1. Adopt Resolution 3403, resolution regarding proposed decisions of administrative law judge and implementing accepted.
That's been removed.
That's on my list to say, hey, wait a minute. Sorry, Ms. Charter, one moment. Okay, so I'll retract my earlier statement. We did remove that. I did not cross it out. So we're on item 10.2, charter oversight and renewal overview. Ms. Goldman, it's all yours.
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. And maybe screens? No? Okay. All right, well, I'll just talk and maybe the pictures will appear, hopefully. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you for the time tonight. You all know me. I am Amanda Goldman. I am our Director of Innovative Schools. I'm here tonight as an information item. We are going to have some decision items coming our way in the next 6 months and want to take this opportunity to make sure we have opportunities to really build a shared understanding around what's going to happen. I, as you may or may not know, have been in this role for a grand total of 14 months now. So it's been a very long time. If you were looking at your slides tonight, you would see our purpose for tonight is to really kind of talk. Oh, yay. Can you, oh. I'll go to that one. Okay. So our purpose for tonight is to really talk about like what is intended and why my office is called the Office of Innovative Schools, to talk about the work I do in annual oversight, and to talk about renewal laws and prepare us for what's coming. And really the most important part of tonight is actually for you all to ask lots of questions and tell me what more information you want. I'm not here to tell you how to do your jobs, but please, 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 this is a time that it's really helpful for me to hear from you. That is me in that picture with my team member, B. Moa, who is our budget analyst that works with me, and that's our 16 schools that we authorize behind us. So lots of stuff that we do. One of the things, like I said, our goal is really to build shared understanding, and I think this is an area where there is often not shared understanding, and so to sort of build our collective knowledge. The two pictures you see in front of you, you are in the little yellow circle, right? That's the Sac City Board. On one side, we have our independent or direct funded charters. And what you see in that image is what hopefully you see is that the relationship there is really a board-to-board relationship. You as a board authorize another board, that is not you all, to establish and run a charter school. And all of the money flows directly to them, their governance goes through them, and really your role is they come back every 5 years and say, hey, can we still be a school? In contrast, we have our dependent or our locally funded charters where the relationship is a little bit less clear. As we've talked about, in that case, you are not only the authorizing board, you are also the governing board. And so sometimes I might say like, okay, pretend you take one hat off and put the other hat on. The other difference is in the case of our dependent or locally funded schools, those employees are Sac City employees. They are part of all of the things that apply to that. And in the case of our independent direct funded schools, that's not the case. The big idea that I want everybody to understand when we talk about charter schools and we think back 30 years where this came from is this idea that by giving some schools this little inch of flexibility, there's not actually a ton of flexibility, most of Ed Code still applies, this little tiny inch of flexibility that they would be able to use that as like innovation laboratories and create, for an inch of flexibility, create a foot of innovation and hopefully a yard of achievement, right? That's the goal, that's the dream. Whether or not that dream comes true, it's always different. It's 30 years, I think the vote is still out on whether that's the model, but that's what was the idea. That flexibility can come in lots of ways. It can come in academic program, it can come in governance, it can come in all sorts of things. And they tell us what that flexibility is in their charter petition that they bring to you, which is kind of like an ask. This is what we propose to do. But with that flexibility comes accountability, and that accountability comes from us. And what I want to really focus on today is how you will see that accountability play out. So that's the quote from Spider-Man, right? No. I had to make the joke, sorry. With great flexibility comes great accountability. So that's the idea, that there is actually a higher level of accountability that comes with that flexibility. And that comes in two ways. One, it comes through our annual oversight. That is what you have tapped me to do. And there's a lot to that, and we can go into that in more detail. But basically, I get a lot of documents. I look at them. I spend a lot of time looking at them. I go visit the school sites at least once a year, if not more often. I look at all the publicly available data. I look at local data, as in data directly from the school. So I look at all of that. Put all that together over the course of the year, and at the end of the year, what you will get from me is a super high-level overview of all that, because it's 16 schools. If I gave you a full, book on each of them, I don't know that we'd all absorb that. And then opportunities to go deeper. I will produce like a more detailed staff report on each of those schools. The other thing that you might at some time see from me is a notice of something to cure and correct. So that's something that like, okay, we found a problem and we really need y'all to do something about it, and here is that formally. In your board packet, you have some drafts of what these documents look like. I've been trying to build them over the course of these 14 months, and so they are definitely first goes, and that's part of what I want to hear from you all tonight is how to make them better and how to make them meet your needs, because ultimately you are the deciders and I'm just the provider of information. The other side of that accountability comes in the renewal component. And this is when, as we talked about, they come to you every certain amount of years and they say, okay, we're ready to renew our contract. And that process, what I want you all to understand about that process is that it is very strict, and that's relatively new. So I know we had a few renewals during COVID, but there was a new law that was passed in 2019. I shared about it last year. I'll talk about it. But that really took what was a little bit of a lots of things that could happen and made it very prescriptive of what that process looks like. And I'll go into that in just a second. But what I want you all to know about that is we will start seeing renewal petitions as early as the first board meeting of next year. So very soon. And you'll get a lot of information. You'll get information from the charter schools, and you'll get information from me. And we'll talk a little bit about what that will look like. But the purpose of that renewal process is for us to look back at the previous 5 years of this contract and say, okay, are we going to make a contract for the next 5 years? And what does that look like? So, as I said, the laws around this were updated in 2019, and I talked about this last year when I brought our board policies on this issue to you all. And the big thing that changed is the 3 big things that changed. It linked charter renewal to student outcomes on the dashboard. So there's a lot less what do we look at? We look at the dashboard. It really clarified and strengthened what the district could look at when they looked at a charter petition. It's not just how do I feel? It's here are some very specific things to look at. And then it put some very specific timelines on us in terms of how much time we have to process these. What that ended up looking like is that the state puts out tiers. I'm going a lot of vocabulary here. I apologize, I didn't put a vocab slide, I realize. The state puts all the charter schools in a tier, a high, middle, or low tier based on their past 2 years of data, publicly available dashboard data. And then based on the tier, there's very specific, what can we do? What can we look at? What can we consider? And that's on the slide, and I'm not gonna read them all to you because you all can read. But what I want us to understand is that what this guidance is supposed to give us is it's supposed to tell us what we can look at, and then if we choose to look at other things, the schools have recourse at that point, and their recourse then looks like appealing to the county and eventually appealing to the state board. And both of those may overturn the district authoriser's decision in a couple of ways, but the one that is most pertinent here is they can overturn it as an abuse of discretion, saying, nope, you all didn't have that discretion to make that decision. These are the rules. This is where you get to put your discretion. So I say all of that because it is like putting in little boxes, and we have to think about that. But also, we know that what we've seen in the last year is that when districts didn't follow this guidance, they were in the news, they were in front of the state board, and not in the way that reflected well on either entity in the process. And I don't know that being in the news for such reasons is something that we want as a community. So that's the bulk of what I want to say tonight. I am assuming, given that we've had a busy night, that there will be a lot of questions. And again, I'm going to say, please, please, please ask. This is really an opportunity for me to get information in terms of what you want to see from me. It's an opportunity for our community to hear what you want to see on this issue. And like I said, once we hit that timeline, we're going very fast. 60 days may seem like a long time. It is not a long time. And we will expect to have petitions as early as July 1, if not a week or so before that. I do have support in this work. I'm working closely with CCAP and with our legal partners, and I can talk more about them later. But really, I just want to say, please ask, please reach out, please ask questions now when I can answer them, as opposed to later when I can't. So, ding.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
We do have one speaker, Laura Kerr.
Hello, Ms. Kerr. It's all yours.
Laura Kerr with the Charter School Development Center. Just a little bit more about me. For 10 years, I worked with the Charter Schools Association as a local advocate, and I worked here in Sac City in collaboration with the staff and the charter leaders here, and we actually did some really great things, including having charter schools buy back more services from the district and finding win-win solutions around facilities. We also did some really deep work on what charter oversight and renewal looks like. Also the Charter School Development Center, where I work, is a nonprofit, membership-based organization. And we do trainings around leadership and technical support. So we help charter schools have better CBOs, better HR policies, better all of that stuff. And just this morning, I was on a verified data renewal webinar. So we're in there doing the things. We're in there doing the things. When it comes to charter oversight and charter renewal, good fences make good neighbors. We like it to be transparent, predictable, rigorous, and efficient. Basically, we want it to be fair. And when we think about a charter, I think of it as a promise. A group of people come in here and make a promise, and you want to see every couple years, are they fulfilling their promise? And so charter renewal is part of that, and your oversight process should inform it. Charter school oversight and renewal is also really clear in the law, and it is an area that can be litigious and contentious. And so I've already expressed some concerns. I think, kudos to Ms. Goldman for her proactive approach to coming here for you tonight and to laying out what her oversight and renewal looks like. You're doing great in that way, being proactive. We love to see it. There are definitely some things that could be better. And our biggest concerns are around overreach, like stepping beyond what's in the law, creating new terms, standards, and criteria that are not in the law, or misrepresenting the law. So I've sent a letter explaining my areas of concern, and I'm sure that we can work those out over time. Thanks.
Thank you. That was the last comment, sir. My dear colleagues, I see Taylor. Let's go.
So first thing, I just would like to say the letter that the commenter just mentioned, if you could send that to me, I would appreciate it. Or you or her, I guess, but Amanda, if you could send me a copy, just.
Of course.
So trying to provide the guidance you're asking for. In general, I do think that charters can be good for the reason you indicated, where you give them a little flexibility and they do new things, they innovate education. Charters, especially our dependent charters, have shown me that they can serve communities that might not be served by some of our traditional schools. Maybe they can be more nimble to respond faster. And they can also be laboratories for great things that we can do in our district schools. And so for that reason, I very much appreciate that they're part of our ecosystem. But at the same time, at the end of the day, charter schools are taking our kids out of our district and taking them out of, our supervision, basically. And they're taking their money with them as well, as we all know. And so I want to make sure, with that said, that we as a governing board are going above and beyond the minimum to have a strong relationship with the charters that we've authorized, both dependent and independent. I don't want this just to be something that every couple of years at renewal, let's get a progress report, and it's either an up-down vote, like, okay, they're doing well or they're not, and we're going to fight them on the charter law, which is, as the commenter mentioned, very strict and doesn't really give us a lot of options. To me, that's really not our purpose as a governing board that authorizes these charters. Our purpose is to have an ongoing understanding of what's happening at these schools. So the way I generally say I would look at it is, with our district schools, I know the staff who are running it. I'm talking to the superintendent every other day. I know a bunch of people who work in this building. I know the people on the school sites, right? I'm out there. I see it. So unless I'm hearing problems, I'm kind of assuming that the system's working. And obviously, we know we have our own system issues that we're working on, but in general, I trust the system. But when it comes to a charter, I don't know these people. I've met some people, right? I've talked to principals, I've talked to a couple parents, but I want progress reports. This is my kid who's like, hey, I want to check in with you, not just, I don't know, lost track of that example. But so I guess that's just to say, the drafts that you put in the board packet here of kind of information you're going to give us, I would like that kind of information. I do think that's good. Just more often, not just as we prepare for renewal. And I do think, and in having spoken with, charter school board members and people who work in this world, the kind of charter schools that are doing the good work of education and fulfilling the original purpose of the charter law in California will welcome that involvement. So that's kind of where I am right now, and I'm curious to see what my colleagues think. But definitely, I would love to chat sometime, Amanda. We haven't had enough time to chat. But I think there's ways to provide that strong oversight that supports the schools, because at the end of the day, these are our kids. These are our kids in our community. And if they weren't at those schools, they would be at our schools. And if those schools are failing, they're going to come back to our schools, and we're going to have to help them. So we have a really strong interest in this.
Thank you. I don't know if this was the question, but I'm going to offer one clarification.
Yeah.
This part, the annual oversight, happens every year for everybody. The other part only happens at renewal. But so to your point, so that is something I'm trying to do. I think this year I've managed to be out at every site at least twice, if not more. And yes, I agree. I'm trying to be more engaged with those schools. I think also the folks behind me would say, anytime you want to visit, let me know and I'll let them know.
Definitely.
To everybody.
And I've visited all the charter schools in my trustee area, and many others. So thank you.
Thanks. Next up, Ms. Villa.
I will keep my comments short again because I do agree with what you're saying, Taylor. Visiting independent and dependent charter schools in our district have been wonderful experience for me, and meeting the teachers, the students, and just seeing what their facilities offer different from our own. Similar to what you had said, what the board will see, I think it's important to remember that charter schools exist because not everything has to be the same box. Students learn differently, and I think these sites set themselves up to support those students in that way. For me, what I would like to see in the reports, and not just renewal, but progress reports, it's great to learn about the governance and the budgeting. That's also something I'm interested in, but I'm more, what are the student outcomes? Give me more of that data from the students, what's working, maybe what you see is not working. What are the services offered at that school that maybe aren't offered at another school? It's really important for us to understand and be very knowledgeable about these charters. So if we are asked questions, we can say, this is how it's set up. So I want to make sure that we're set up for success with that information. I know there's so much data and they're all individual. So if possible, I don't know if it necessarily be, you don't need like a 2x training, but just a report, like he was saying. I just want to know more about the student services that are available and the student outcomes of not only necessarily grades, but just overall success rates for our students. Thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate you, honestly, too. You do so much work, and I always see you around different campuses, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jean.
Thank you for your, I want to give you guys info. I'm going to reach out to you and maybe see if we can just do a Zoom or a sit down so I can just kind of pick your brain and feel like I get a grasp of where we're at. But the one thing I wanted to say now, I want to make sure I'm doing this responsibility appropriately. And if we do have questions and concerns, what's the appropriate way to get that info, to follow up, to make sure that it's not micromanaging, it's partnership, but it's also ensuring that when we approve a charter, we're confident that it's in the best interest for our students. Because as Member Kayada mentioned, I'm a teacher who really loves dependent charters because I feel like they add so much to what we can offer inside our school district, and I'm very hesitant around independent because I know that it becomes competing resources so often. And I want to be a good board member. So my request would be, what's the clear process of next steps when we have the questions or we have the concerns, or we've got to take, before just voting yes or no, what do we do along the way? So.
Yeah, and if I might take a moment to speak to that a little bit in general. So the complaint process, not necessarily for you all, but in general around charter schools, is there's a couple of different complaint processes. So one of the things that I check for is that the state required complaint process is publicly available, easily accessible for every one of the schools. And then those complaints can come to me and I can then follow up. And then if it's something you all need to know, sometimes there are complaints that aren't our purview. And so in that case, just like we would do here, if we get a complaint that isn't our purview, we, sort of send it back to the site. But so that is out there. And then similarly, yes, you all, I work for y'all. So anytime set up those conversations, I'm happy to have those conversations. And I have a lot of in-progress data that I can share that I wouldn't put out publicly because that wouldn't be fair. It's not done yet, but that we can have those conversations.
Great, thank you so much. Is there a bird chirping?
There is something chirping.
There's something chirping. Sorry, it's so bizarre. Sorry to, rabbit trail.
Yeah, it's the fire alarm. Okay. Thank you. I had something to say, but it kind of slipped my mind. And that's okay, because I appreciate this information item, and I think we're good. So thank you very much. Moving on. Item 10.2. I'm sorry, 11.1, student member report. Ms. Segura?
Okay, so I'm just going to kind of reiterate what Justine was able to say when she came up for the SAC report. We are going to be presenting our first resolution to you guys next board meeting, so I guess be prepared for that. In her words, we'll see you then. We are tightening things up and working alongside staff to make sure that everything is set the way it's meant to be set and that there are no holes in our resolutions that need to be filled. So we are happy we're set with that. And we're also happy to invite you guys into that space. We've expanded our meetings from every Wednesday to be every Wednesday and every other Tuesday, so that way we're able to hit that mark. So if Wednesdays haven't previously worked for you, you can contact Ivane to set up something for one of the Tuesdays that we are open for. So yeah, I think that is all I have.
Thank you. 11.2, Madam Superintendent. All right. Yeah, so my button works, but I'm good. So President's report, I'm passing on because I've already said what I need to say. So I want to hear from my colleagues. So 11.4, information sharing by board members. Ms. Jean, you're up first.
Last week, I got to attend two events. One was the Community Schools Forum that was hosted by SCTA and kind of bringing together a lot of different school districts and talking about how do we make community schools work in our area. It was pretty wonderful. And then I got to attend the Health Professionals High School Open House, and it was really amazing to see, speaking of which I believe a dependent charter, yes, being able to see some of the amazing work and the resources and the experiences that our students get to have at that high school. So it was really wonderful.
Awesome sauce. Mr. Rhodes?
Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. We were gonna have our pancake breakfast at Luther Burbank High School on Saturday. But Saturday is the only day where it's gonna be raining. It's 84 degrees on Friday and 50 degrees on Saturday. And so climate change is a real thing, everyone, and it's impacting our pancake breakfast. Unfortunately, we have to postpone our pancake breakfast. We had a lot of parents coming out, my team who put together everything. Big shout out to the team who is going to be there, all our volunteers, even from the SAC, and everyone who is going to be out. It's going to be a pretty big event, around 500 people. But we will postpone until June, when I'm hopeful that there will be no rain in June. And if there is rain in June for some reason, we need to do better for climate. So, thank you guys very much, and now end my comments there.
I appreciate that hand up for climate as much as we can. Mr. Singh?
My mic doesn't make weird noises, so I have some talking points from Miss Allen, but also some of these pertain to me. So I want to give a shout out to our U.S. News rankings. One of those schools was Umoja International Academy, which is ranked among the top 5 public high schools in the Sacramento region. I'll just say it for you, Ms. Villa. West Campus was number 1 public high school in the Sacramento region and number 17 in the state. So congrats to our students and our staff. Special shout out to West Campus and Umoja. Speaking about Umoja, we have our last community fair of the year on June 1st. So please come out. We'll have live entertainment, some murals going up, and then also the East Sac Garden Tour on Mother's Day weekend. So you can come to that. May 11th and May 12th at David Lubin. There is also a pancake breakfast at Tahoe Elementary, supporting the PTA there on May 11th. And that is all I have right now. I'm so sorry, your pancake breakfast. No problem. I was gonna go.
I appreciate that wonderful expression of regret, because a pancake breakfast is really a cool thing. So hopefully we'll get some good weather for you. Ms. Villa?
Thank you, Member Singh, for reminding me about this Sunday from 10 to 3 is the Colonial Heights Garden Tour. And it is so cool. We have some of the biggest and wildest backyards in Colonial Heights. 10 to 3, Sunday, May 5th. You can go and get tickets. They will be giving out seeds. They have junior gardener activity books. People will teach you so much about their yards. So please come out to the neighborhood, check it out.
Thank you. Moving on. We're at item 12.0, consent agenda. Moved and seconded, Villa and Jean?
It was Pritchett.
Pritchett, sorry. Student preferential vote?
Aye.
We already took, are we announcing it as if we didn't do it in the beginning, or are we doing it because?
We're going to make a statement about the calendar.
Do I have a statement? I'm sorry. I work a long day, and by the time I get here, I'm kind of pooped. My bad. I have a statement to read. Before we take action on the consent agenda, I wanted to point out, which everyone else helped me point out, that I need to point out to the board and our community, 2 changes on the board calendar. So the item listed is 12.1K. The first was to change our second October 2024 meeting to account for the Council of Great City Schools Conference taking place on October 16 through 20. And the second was a change to our second June 2025 meeting to account for the Juneteenth holiday, recognized on June 19th. And in doing so, I am asking if there's any public comment on that. Cool.
We have none.
Said beautifully again. So, to motion, I'm sorry, requesting a motion to approve all items on consent. Ms. Pritchett, Ms. Villa. Student preferential vote. It's really hard.
I can do it out loud.
Yes, use your teacher voice.
Yes. Member Jean?
Yes.
Member Phillips?
Yes.
Member Pritchett? Yes. Member Rhodes?
Aye.
Member Singh?
Yes.
Member Villa?
Yes.
So moved.
Draw a line through that. All right, item 13.0. Future board meeting dates and locations. I'll read this slowly for those who may need to process the information so that they can be at our next meeting or view it online. May 16, 2024, 5 p.m., closed session, 6:30 p.m. Open session, Cerna Center, 5735 47th Avenue, Community Room. June 6, 2024, 5 p.m., closed session, 6:30, open session, Cerna Center, 5735 47th Avenue, Community Room. I say it so slow because somebody wants to say this before me, but item 14.0, adjournment. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, community.